During her time on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa Giudice provided viewers with a number of unforgettable experiences. The famed table flip, which occurred during the final episode of the first season, was one example of another such incident. Recent events have allowed the reality TV star to reveal the truth about what actually took place during the event. A member of the original cast of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Teresa Giudice, was one of the first cast members. The appearance that Giudice made on The Real Housewives of New Jersey is what brought her to the attention of fans of reality shows. Through her participation in the show from the very beginning, she was considered to be one of the original cast members. By the time the 8th season rolled around, Giudice had even become the only original cast member still performing on the show. Throughout the years, she was a part of a great deal of noteworthy occurrences that occurred on the show, even during the first season of the show. During the conclusion of the first season of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Giudice was involved in a moment that became the subject of widespread scrutiny. It is possible that fans may recall that the celebrity got into a fight with Danielle Staub. In the midst of the situation, Teresa might be thinking to herself, "Prostitution is a shithole." After saying, "You were engaged 19 times, he then turned the tables on you." Throughout the heated time, the people proceeded to use profanity. Recently, Giudice discussed the incident while she was a guest on the Casual Chaos podcast that was hosted by her daughter, Giudice. During the course of the program, Teresa revealed that she and Staub had a good relationship prior to the iconic confrontation that took place on television. Within the course of the podcast, Teresa did, in fact, offer Danielle a few words of encouragement. "Let me tell you, Danielle was made for it," she said, referring to the situation. "She was a television goldmine. Undoubtedly she was. She was just incredible. She simply put everything out there, in a literal sense." However, the star of Real Housewives said that there is still the possibility that things may be taken to an extreme. "She was fun and very easygoing, just so much fun, even though in the beginning, she was like insulting me a little bit," she continued. "She was just so much fun. That is what caused me to turn the tables on her. Do you know what I mean?" Additionally, the celebrity had already disclosed what was going through her head at the time of the event. "She would just throw these little jabs at me, like she said to Joe, 'Don't speak to me like you speak to your wife,' because she would just continue to do this." Similar things to that. In addition, "I am the kind of person who takes it, and takes it some more, and then when I am no longer able to take it, I have an explosion." After a number of years had passed since the conclusion of the first season, Teresa also discussed her connection with Danielle. "I ended up getting to know her, and then look, we ended up making up later on," she said, assuring them that they were able to move on from the situation they were in at the time with each other. In addition, Teresa acknowledged that the incident was one that she had not stopped thinking about over the course of her life. According to People, she also commented on what was going through her head during the table flip, while she was participating on the Housewife 2 Housewife Day 1 Diva panel at BravoCon 2023. In an interview, the actress of Real Housewives revealed, "Let me tell you the truth. After I did it, I was like, oh my God, what did I just do? For example, I didn't feel proud of it. To be honest, I wasn't. Doing that was the very first time I had ever done it. That's how angry I am." On the other hand, Teresa revealed that she was able to alter the situation in her thoughts so that it became something constructive. "Without a doubt, everyone adored it afterward," she revealed. "Then, I decided to accept it. The photo that everyone submitted with that sneering expression is not one that I find appealing. Despite the fact that I ought to have been smiling, everyone adores it. Because, as you probably well know, everyone else adores it. I was able to accept it." Have you witnessed this momentous occasion that took place on The Real Housewives of New Jersey? Did you take the time to listen to Teresa Giudice when she spoke on the podcast not too long ago? Make it a habit to return to TV shows ACE for the most recent information regarding reality television and celebrity news. There are moments in reality television that become bigger than the shows they appear in, moments that rise from simple episodes to cultural touchstones. For the Real Housewives of New Jersey, that moment is, and always will be, Teresa Giudice's legendary table flip. More than a decade later, the scene still circulates across social media, inspires memes, and remains etched into Bravo history. But for years, the deeper truth behind it remained blurry, wrapped in speculation and fan theories. Now, Teresa is finally opening the vault, revealing what was truly happening inside her mind and heart the night she delivered reality TV's most explosive gesture. What the world saw was a burst of rage that instantly became iconic. What Teresa remembers, however, is a storm of emotion mixed with betrayal, pressure, and years of resentment simmering beneath the surface. Long before she physically touched the table, the unraveling had already begun. Behind the glamorous makeup, designer dresses, and camera-ready smiles, Teresa was carrying the weight of unresolved tensions that had been stacking up for months. In her reflection, she describes that period as one of the most overwhelming phases of her life. Balancing a stressful home environment, public scrutiny, and rising fame created a world that felt like it was closing in from every direction. The table flip, as shocking as it appeared, was born from more than one argument. It was the physical expression of emotions she had been forced to swallow repeatedly. Every accusation, every rumor, every whispered judgment came crashing down in a single moment. Teresa now admits that she felt cornered that night. The dinner table became a battleground, and each word flying across it felt like another nail pinning her into place. Tensions were already high when filming began, but the cameras captured only a fraction of the emotional energy vibrating in the room. According to her, the air was thick even before the first glass was poured. She recalls noticing the shift in everyone's demeanor, feeling the unspoken intentions filling the space. It was as if the scene had been written before anyone even arrived, and she was expected to play a role she didn't agree to. As the conversation escalated, something inside her snapped. It wasn't a sudden burst, but a slow, powerful ignition. Every judgment she had endured as a mother, wife, and woman began tightening around her until the pressure demanded release. The table, sitting polished and decorated between her and her breaking point, simply became the vessel that absorbed everything she could no longer contain. When it flipped, it wasn't just furniture crashing to the floor. It was years of frustration, fear, and pain erupting at once. What Teresa wants people to understand now is that the flip was emotional truth made visible. It wasn't a performance for the cameras, nor was it an attempt to create shock value. To her, it was a necessary release at a time when she felt no other option. She remembers her hands trembling, her heart pounding, her vision narrowing. The room seemed to dissolve into noise and movement. For a few seconds, she didn't care about public perception, headlines, or the millions of viewers watching. She cared only about protecting herself from what she felt was an attack on her integrity. In the aftermath, she expected regret, but what she actually felt was clarity. That single explosive act forced her to confront the emotional exhaustion she had been ignoring. It marked the beginning of a deeper transformation, one that eventually led to her embracing therapy, rebuilding family relationships, and learning to choose her battles differently. The flip wasn't the end of a storyline, it was the beginning of an awakening. Over the years, fans have joked about the table flip, reenacted it, and celebrated it as peak reality TV drama. What Teresa acknowledges now is that she didn't realize how iconic the moment would become until long after it aired. She was living through personal upheaval, and the public saw only the entertainment value. In time, she learned to accept the moment's cultural impact, even laughing about it during cast reunions and public appearances. The flip became part of her identity, fiery, loyal, passionate, and unfiltered. But in her newest retelling, she reveals something deeper. The flip was also a symbol of the internal battle she was fighting. It showed a woman reaching her emotional threshold, refusing to let others rewrite her narrative. She had spent too long biting her tongue and presenting the strongest version of herself, even as the cracks were forming. That night, she shed the facade and allowed raw emotion to take the wheel. Today, Teresa speaks about the moment with a mixture of amusement and vulnerability. She no longer sees it as a point of embarrassment, but as a milestone that shaped how she understands herself. She has grown in ways that the woman at that dinner table couldn't have imagined. She has survived legal battles, public scrutiny, fractured relationships, and heavy personal challenges. Through it all, her resilience remained intact. Her reflection also highlights how reality television can magnify personal struggles. What viewers witness is a polished slice of a much larger emotional world. The table flip reminded fans that beneath the designer clothes and dramatic backdrops, the housewives are real people navigating real pressures. In sharing the truth behind the moment, Teresa offers a rare look into the emotional cost of reality fame. In the end, her message is simple. The table flip was not just drama. It was a breaking point that helped her rebuild stronger. It was messy, loud, and unforgettable, but it was also honest. And in Teresa Giudice's world, honesty, no matter how dramatic, is everything. The woman who flipped that table is not the same woman standing today. She's stronger, wiser, and far more grounded. Yet she fully embraces that iconic moment because it represents a piece of her journey, one that fans continue to cherish. The truth behind the infamous flip is not scandal, performance, or chaos. It is the story of a woman standing up for herself in the only way she could at the time.